There are many legal channels out there, supposed legal experts, whether it's on YouTube, Twitch, mainstream media, Twitter, out there with horrible takes on the lawsuit of Walt Disney World, their parks versus DeSantis and the Central Florida Tourism Oversight Board, their district, and their suit against the entire board of that district. Now, in this lawsuit, many people are shilling for Disney. They are simping for Disney hard. And I've already covered the lies and exposed the lies of Legal Eagle. But there seems to be another guy on the block who's a fairly big YouTuber, and he's a lawyer, right? Not going to knock that. A lawyer just like me and many others on the internet, on YouTube. And he has horrible, horrible takes on this, and frankly is applying no legal analysis to the complaint itself, and that is lawful masses with Leonard French. Now, to start out very clear here, guys, I have no personal relationship with Leonard French. I've never been on his show. I've never talked to him. And for all I know, in person, he may be a very swell guy. This is not about his personality. This is about specifically his legal take and what he's put out there as a lawyer on YouTube. See, you know, of course, I am a Florida lawyer. I live abroad right now. I'm in Seoul, South Korea, but I bounce between Japan, Bangkok. But my area of specialty, my practice is in special district and real property law. I dealt with districts like former Reedy Creek, now disbanded, in the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District. I've dealt with districts like that all the time. All the time. That was my bread and butter. It's what I did. It's my area of practice. And you have folks who have different area of practice, you know, people that are criminal law experts, people that may do appeals, right? And Leonard, from what I understand, knowing very little about him, his thing is more IP. That was kind of his thing, his area of experience. And when people have an area of experience, I tend to defer to them. But where the problems crop up is when you come and you comment and you forcefully comment on something you know absolutely nothing about, when it's outside your area of expertise and authority. Lawyers often are very niched. And look, I can give my take on things. I can call things one way or another. But if somebody asks me, hey, is this your area of expertise? I'll be honest. I'll say no, or I'll say yes. I don't misrepresent what I know as a specialty and what I don't. And frankly, I believe that by commenting on this in this way and making this strong statement that you're going to see in a second, I think that Leonard is misrepresenting the Disney case, and like Legal Eagle, is going the simp route, is going the shill for Disney route. So let's see exactly what Leonard had to say and why I'm calling him out on this. Now, I was going to review his entire video, but here's the first problem I realized with his video. It is 1 hour and 25 minutes long. Now, that's fine if you're doing a legal review and you are doing and applying analysis. But what I discovered Leonard did was simply read the complaint. When I was going through, I wasn't hearing him apply any legal analysis. He's reading and going, wow, whoa. And there's no analysis, no thought. There's no point, counterpoint. There's no argument. There's no analysis. Lawyers should analyze. People defer to us because we have authority as attorneys. They look to us and say, hey, you guys know about this better than we do, right? You guys are the experts. Well, when they look at you as an expert and you act like a clown, like anybody who could just read it, that's all you're doing is reading the complaint and doing nothing else. That's not what a lawyer should do. Anybody can get on and read the complaint. You don't need a law degree for that. But what you should be applying your legal mindset to is to judge the complaint on its merits, make the arguments, make the points and the counterpoints, apply some analysis. None of that synthesis is happening. When I look at a complaint, I'm synthesizing it. I'm looking at the business aspects, political aspects. You're taking everything and applying it to that complaint. Leonard is doing none of that, is applying none of that to the complaint, which is why, frankly, an hour and 22 minutes of this video, this hour and 25 video, is really worthless. It's him reading through the complaint, which anybody can do. And I think this is the bottom tier for legal producers on YouTube. It's kind of trash tier content, if you ask me, to just read a complaint and kind of say, yes, that sounds great. That's perfectly fine. No, you should be pushing it. You should be pushing yourself as a lawyer, as a critical thinking individual, further than mediocrity. But that's what an hour and 22 minutes of this video is. But let's hear his synthesis at the end. What I really want to get is right here where he talks about this. So let me pop down in the corner. I'll go over here to the side and we'll see what Leonard has to say about this.
You know, obviously give yourselves a pat on the back for that one. Jeez, that's a heck of a complaint. So yeah, that's the neatest, tightest, most buttoned, well-prepared complaint that I think I've seen ever.
Oh, okay. So let's just start there. This is a lie. I have seen better complaints with stronger legal arguments made by law students. This is not a buttoned up complaint. This is, in fact, a trash complaint. Here's one of the reasons why. Their legal argument is a fraction, is a small, tiny millimeter of the entire contents, right? You got 77 pages, 10, 11 pages of legal analysis, right? You take out the headings, you got like 10 pages of legal analysis, and none of the cases relate to Florida special districts. This is all vague law. It's vague statements. It's nothing that sticks, nothing that's concrete. It's not even applicable in many of these cases. It's cases they're trying to bootstrap contract law into a property issue. It's bootstrapping in First Amendment when it really the parties aren't right. The district is the one with the standing, right? Not Disney, right? Disney is not the district. And if Disney is the district, well, then they've violated their bonds and they've committed securities fraud. So which is it, Leonard? Have they committed securities fraud, or are they one and the same? What is it? What is it? Are they separate, or are they the same? If you're telling me they've committed securities fraud, then yes, you can argue First Amendment, right? That's great. But if you want to argue with a straight face that this is their First Amendment right, you need to say, oh, yes, they've also, on their bond disclosures, right? The bonds, the Achilles heel of Disney, right? If you mention that, you committed securities fraud. So which one is it, Leonard? You got to pick a lane. And this is what happens. He's a copyright IP lawyer, right? This is not his area of expertise. He's out of his field. And frankly, look, I don't know too much about him personally. This is what I got from gleaming his channel into his background. But that being said, he's definitely not a Florida real property lawyer. If he was, he'd get much deeper on this issue, saying this is a good complaint because what? It's long, right? Does size matter for complaints? No, this is not your prom night date. It's much different. The analysis is different, and you've got to use your head and pick apart those constitutional arguments. There's a reason why they give constitutional arguments for law students to debate over, because they're open-ended, because there's two sides of the story, right? But none of that was applied here. So let's continue.
There are just some that are just well put together, and obviously Disney has been waiting for this moment for a long time. They knew something was wrong over a year ago when the initial version of the Don't Say Gay bill was...
Okay, right there, another full stop. That is not the name of the bill. This is a wild misrepresentation and shows a heavy liberal, not just liberal, but social media liberal bias. If we want to be neutral, the true neutral name is the Parental Rights and Education Bill. That is the factual name. And this is once again showing people like himself, legal with Trump derangement syndrome, right? Who are stuck in the leftist social media cycle, who go and use that name. If we're going to call it that, then we got to use the grooming word too, because that's just as accurate as Don't Say Gay. If you want to put it that way, let's go call it the anti-grooming bill. Which one is it? Or can we just be neutral and call it the Parental Right and Education Bill, which is the factual truth, right? So if we're going to call it the incorrect names, the wrong names, you got to use both. You got to use both, Leonard. You got to be fair, right? So if you're going to say Don't Say Gay, you got to call it anti-grooming too. You got to do both. Pick one, or just say the correct thing. That would be nice. So let's go here. And I'm sure he's going to get into the incorrect facts about the bill itself, which, by the way, is completely irrelevant to this lawsuit. Why? Because whatever actions were taken in response to that were taken against Reedy Creek. I'll get into that in a second.
Was released, and of course that was just for like pre-K through third grade or something, and then of course it got expanded to all the way up through 12th grade. So now you're not allowed to talk about being gay if if you're a teacher and is outside of approved curriculum, which it's not.
By the way, you saw how he cut that? He cut that because he had to go back. So as part of the curriculum, yes, in the class, you cannot teach somebody who is a child, third grade, right? About, and by the way, third grade is what it is, but third grade, you cannot teach them about sexuality. I think that's fair. I think they don't need to learn about any sexual thing. By the way, it applies to heterosexual sexuality's way. No, and I'm talking about sex with children. I think that's normal, Leonard. I think that we can all agree as a society that children don't need to be involved in that. But once again, how is that related to the lawsuit? It's not. I'll let him continue.
Not, then you can't talk about it. So yeah, you just can't talk about anything to do with anything other than being straight.
Not true.
In Florida.
Not
on
true.
On this thing. So they speak out about it, and then the government punishes them. And that's exactly what the First Amendment is designed to protect, that you're not allowed to retaliate against your citizenry, your constituency.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Who did they retaliate against, allegedly? What, disbanding RCID, brother? Oh, well, RCID is gone. And in their complaint, if you just read it, if you just looked into that very same complaint you allegedly just read, you don't even need to apply legal analysis. You just need to think about what you just read. But clearly you tuned out and just read. You just milked your subs to say, oh, I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this complaint, applying no analysis, zero analysis. They admit that the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District is valid. In fact, they say in that complaint you supposedly paid attention to that their district is not only valid, but has the power to tax, has the power to maintain the roads, including, by the way, to put tolls on those roads if they so damn please. So Ron DeSantis' statements that he can put tolls on the roads, yeah, that's true. And Disney acknowledges that in their own complaint. Their own complaint counters Disney's own points. Did you factor that in, buddy? You didn't, because you're just going with what Disney wants you to say. How much did they have to pay? And listen, it's not that hard to get this right. Reedy Creek, as a district, is gone. They are dissolved. They no longer exist. The only thing that exists now is the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District. Reedy Creek is gone. They're gone. Disney control that. It's gone. Not coming back ever. Period. And Disney does not contest that. So once again, the facts he's stating here, this alleged retaliation, it doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. There's no retaliation. What's the retaliation? You can't unwind those actions. And in fact, they're actually not asking them to unwind those actions because that would mess with their bonds. And if they messed with their bonds, they would be committing, once again, there'd be securities issues. And mind you, they're going to have to make material disclosures on those bonds. Material disclosures as to this litigation, something Leonard French, once again, knows nothing about because he, unlike me, right, does not practice in Florida property law. He does not practice with special districts. He doesn't understand public finance. It's not his area of expertise. And I can't even be mad about it that he doesn't know. I'm mad at the way he presents it as an authority and how people like him, like Legal, get up here, throw on a suit, and don't know what the heck they're talking about. These are major, major issues. And they're not just about people saying, okay, they're hurt because because the issue was the parental rights and education bill. No, there are wider issues now. We've moved on past that because those issues that may have applied with Reedy Creek are gone. That district is gone. You now have to deal with what we have, which is the current iteration. It's authorized under a separate statute. So this simplistic look at it by simplistic lawyers on the internet, like Leonard French, like Legal, guys, you got to look past that. You got to dig deeper. The pixie dusters, the mainstream media, they're going to want you just to take what they spoon feed you, but do not do that. As always on this channel, The Legal Mindset, we say, be your own judge. I'm going to have way more on this issue, and I'm going to stay on top of this.